Now, from the Columbia Basin, your local news source, this is iFIBER 1 News, presented in high definition. The #1 source for real-time local news, local sports headlines, and our very own Weather Center forecast covering the entire Columbia Basin. With your iFIBER 1 News team, reporting news in real time as it's happening. From the iFIBER Communications HD broadcast studio in Ephrata, Washington, this is iFIBER 1 News, and it starts now.
Welcome to iFIBER 1 News. I'm Cody Johnson with news from around the Columbia Basin for Wednesday, January 30th. Tonight we report on a structure fire in Ephrata that was started by a candle, and how the Grant County PUD has decided on a new general manager. We look at how the federal government tracks the ownership of firearms, and how the State Department of Transportation is looking at a toll on Interstate 90. In sports, we catch up with the Wenatchee Wild and Big Bend basketball. Our spotlight story tonight is a legislative update from Representative Judy Warnick. And we have the latest weather forecast for the Columbia Basin from the iFIBER 1 Weather Center. Our top story tonight: fire crews raced to a home in Ephrata last night to find a garage on fire. Here with the story is Ryan Lancaster.
The Ephrata Fire Department responded to a structure fire near 3rd and Alder Street Tuesday night. Ephrata Fire Chief Jeremy Burns said the fire broke out at just after 5 p.m. in a detached garage behind a residence on Alder. The roughly 540 square foot garage had apparently been converted into a family room. The resident reportedly told fire officials he'd briefly left the garage to greet his wife when she'd arrived home from work. When he returned and opened the door, there was thick smoke and heat. Fire officials later learned the resident had reportedly left a candle burning in the garage that had been knocked over, possibly by a cat. Burns said he was concerned the fire could spread to the house or a nearby laundromat, and called for mutual aid by Grant County Fire Districts 13 and 7. Crews did manage to contain the fire to the garage and knocked it down quickly.
Thanks, Ryan. Tony Webb is the new general manager for the Grant County PUD. He starts on February 11th after the board takes formal action at their February business meeting. Board President Terry Brewer said he believes the decision will benefit PUD customers and employees. Webb brings more than 25 years of experience to the position. He has been with the utility since 1990 and held a number of roles, including Director of Support Services, Customer Service, Human Resources, Assistant General Manager, and most recently, Interim General Manager. He has a bachelor's degree from Eastern Washington University. As we approach February, many of us in Grant County are still experiencing the flu. The State Department of Health reports continued increases in emergency room visits for flu-like illnesses, and there are now 17 confirmed flu-related deaths throughout the state. There are 18 flu-related deaths last year and 36 deaths in the 2010-2011 flu season. Flu season is typically measured from October to May. None of the flu-related deaths this year were in Grant County. Grant County Health District spokesman Teresa Atkinson said the county does not have the number of flu cases because not all patients are tested for the flu, and the health district does not require hospitals and care facilities to report when people have the flu, just when they die. Despite reporting problems, Atkinson said Grant County healthcare providers are seeing an increase in patients being treated for flu-like illnesses. People in the Columbia Basin are taking part in the national discussions on the laws governing firearms. One concern is the idea of a national gun registry. The federal government already has a way to track the ownership of firearms, and the Associated Press helps explain how it works.
My name is Charles Hauser. I'm a special agent with ATF, and this is ATF's National Tracing Center here in Martinsburg, West Virginia. In essence, this is a factory for the production of investigative leads. We trace firearms for federal, state, and local law enforcement. Where a law enforcement agency recovers a gun at a crime scene, They can submit a trace request in order for us to determine who the purchaser of that firearm was. Most of it is simply searching through paper records like this and paper records like you may see back here, searching through microfilm and historic records, and calling dealers and manufacturers and wholesalers on the telephone at a pace of about 1,400 trace requests per day. The process can be awkward and appears awkward, but some of the controls are for pretty good reason in order to prevent the federal government from creating either deliberately or even inadvertently a registration system of firearms. How do we know where the firearms trafficking routes are and where the sources of illegal crime guns are and where the markets are for crime guns? The only way we know that is because other law enforcement agencies trace those firearms. 90% of the time I can give you a purchaser. 90% of the time I can give you at least one investigative lead. Many of those times I can give you more than one investigative lead on the same gun. So is it worth it? Yeah, it's worth it. It is for me.
Grant County Sheriff Tom Jones recently made a statement regarding his views on the federal laws and gun control. And you can read more about that from our website at iFIBER1.com. Big Bend Community College received help from Yahoo. The internet company donated 40 servers to the computer science program. Computer science instructional designer Mary Shannon said the gift, valued at $16,000, will be used in the server lab and hardware classes. A Mattawa student may have deployed pepper spray on 2 buses recently. According to the Grant County Sheriff's Office, Mattawa School District officials reported a noxious mist was sprayed on 2 buses. Grant County Sheriff's Chief Deputy Ryan Rechtenwald said the deputy did review the school bus security video and has identified a suspect. No injuries were reported other than some discomfort. A level 3 registered sex offender has moved to Ephrata. Leon Keith Chartier is now living in the 10,400 block of Road A Northwest in Ephrata. He was convicted of indecent liberties on May 31st, 1999. He is described as being a Caucasian male, 41 years old, with brown hair and blue eyes. State law requires people convicted of sex offenses to register their residence with local law enforcement. The law also allows police to release some information about level 3 sex offenders to the public. Chartier is not wanted by law enforcement. The Grant County Sheriff's Office stated the release of information is not intended to increase fear, but to inform the public to increase safety through awareness. Each of the people you see here have warrants for their arrest and are wanted by various law enforcement agencies. If you see any of these people, the DOC asks you not attempt to detain or apprehend them, but to call police. You can also call the Department of Corrections at 509-764-6180 during the day or 509-762-1160 after 5 p.m. We'll be right back after these messages with the latest forecast from the iFIBER 1 Weather Center, and we'll have sports and more news.